So thank you very much for being here. This is an info session about the first year abroad program to Ireland that will take place with class this winter and then travel abroad in spring break. And so we'll start off with some introductions. My name is Scott Ozorowski. I work in the study abroad office and I help coordinate all of the first year programs that we do. Go ahead, Victoria.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Victoria Van Kirk. I work in student affairs at DePaul, but I also teach. And through my teaching, I've been led to the first year abroad program. I've served as a staff member on this trip several times, and then as the main faculty for the trip, at least for 1 year, and now coming into the next. But this is a wonderful, wonderful trip. So I'm really glad to see some interest here today.
So as Victoria already introduced herself, we have just a bio page here for her, a little bit about her. Anything else you want to say about yourself, Victoria, as we get going?
Oh, let's see here. What did I even offer up here? I do really enjoy this kind of travel experience. I'm really, really impressed by and love the format for the first year abroad experience because I think what it does is it offers all of you an opportunity to learn about a country or learn about topics here stateside, and then the bonus is then we all go on the trip together, and the trips are shorter, which means that it doesn't really throw you off your game academically. Pushing people into a fifth year gives you the opportunity to really get a nice indoctrination into a country as lovely as Ireland and do it in a way that makes sense with the rest of your studies. There's one other person who will probably be doing a slide on here in a second. We have a staff professional. There he is, Jordan, who joins me. So we're the teaching team for this class. So I teach the academic content of the class, and then Jordan, as you can see, has a lot of travel experience. I think Jordan did his study abroad experience in Ireland when he was an undergraduate. And then Jordan and I team up and we make sure the experience is very well rounded and fun, and people come out of it with so much gained. So I'm really excited every time we see new applications added to the mix for this program, and the two of us look forward to ushering the next group through. So.
Excellent. And then I work in the study abroad office, so Victoria and Jordan will be the ones taking the group abroad over spring break. I will be the one on the back end helping with a lot of logistics as we plan everything and work through the application process with everyone. So if you have any questions about the program itself and the course, Victoria is a great person to talk to. Any other questions about logistics or how to apply or how scholarships work that we're going to talk about a little bit later, I'm the one to talk to about that. And I'll just give a super quick overview and then I will let Victoria take it away for a bunch and then I can come in at the end. So this program, these first year abroad programs are part of the first year curriculum and you get credit for your focal point seminar class. As you are first year students, you're all typically taking a Discover or an Explore class this fall, and you had about 100 of them to choose from, and you found a topic that sounded interesting. Maybe it's related to your studies here at DePaul, maybe it has nothing at all to do with what you're majoring in. And for most of you, the same thing will happen in your winter or spring quarter. You have to take LSP 112, which is a focal point seminar, and it's the same deal. There's about 100 of them offered, all kinds of topics taught from all over the university. Doesn't have to do anything with what your major is, but it's the one where you pick a topic that's interesting to you. And we have made 7 of those 100 into study abroad experiences, where you will take the normal class during the quarter, but then at the end of the quarter, everyone in your class, as well as Victoria and Jordan, will then go abroad for a week and a half to have a study abroad experience over spring break that builds on the things that you have been talking about in class for the past 10 weeks. As you plan your schedule for the winter quarter, if you are applying for this program, leave some space in your schedule for it in 2 different ways. One, credit-wise, it will be 6 credits that will be on your schedule for winter quarter. And so if you don't want to pay extra tuition, you have to stay at 18 credits or less. And so register yourself in only 12 credits as you start to register for winter class, and then a maximum of 12 credits. And then this 6 will go on top of it. Or you can also register yourself in a backup class. And then if you get accepted to the program and decide to move forward, you'll just drop that class. And then our office enrolls you in the classwork for this. So you don't have to enroll yourself. If you're accepted in the program and and you decide to move forward, we will put you in the class. So either just save some spot in your schedule for it, or else have a backup class that you'll drop and then we'll put you in. And then the other thing as you're creating your schedule is make sure you don't put yourself in a class on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4:20 to 5:50, because that's when this class will be. So just don't schedule any other class at that time slot. So Victoria, why don't you kind of take it away with talking about the class, and then we'll work our way through the slides on the program.
Absolutely. So this class is wonderful because we have the Irish literature focus, but we also focus a lot on travel writing. And I'd say in the last year, we've done that even more so. We actually linked up last year with a travel writer who writes for several Irish publications and had a nice live session, a seminar with that person in a hotel in Dublin in a really beautiful conference room. I won't spoil too much, but it was nice because we're able to actually have real-time travel writers along with us. There's something, I think I heard a couple of you in your introduction talking about how beautiful Ireland is as a place. And I can say yes, yes, and yes, very inspiring. And also presence of place. You know, it's one thing to learn about it, to actually hear about it, to see it in movies, but it's another thing to be there, to be writing in your travel journal as you're sitting on the side of at the table near the cliffs of Moher and looking out over the sea and just the moody weather and everything coming in. It just changes the entire perspective. So for this class, we do take care to go through many lessons that are relevant to the places that we'll be visiting. So what you'll learn about in the classroom, you'll actually see unfold in real life and time as we visit certain places around the country. I also inherited some aspects about this class from a former faculty member that I made sure to keep in place, and that is the pace of the learning and it's the pace of the travel. Something I love about this trip is how much we cover in 10 days and how we get from Dublin and we go basically just around the country, looking across the lower end and up and around till we get to Galway. I know it's probably being drawn backwards for you here, but what's nice about that is we have planes, trains, automobiles. We spend time in the city at a quicker pace at the start of the trip. We end in Galway, which is a mid-sized city, but in between we have these beautiful adventures where things are calm and it's basically us and the sheep. And we're moving our way through different little villages. So I like, though, that we have built this trip so that students can experience a lot of different aspects of travel in a short period of time as well. So we stay in hotels, we stay in we stay in hostels, we stay in bed and breakfasts. So that you get a really nice sampling of what it is like to travel in Ireland, but then also a sampling of what it's like to become an experienced traveler altogether. So here's a picture actually of one of the castle that we stay in, and this is just a beautiful place outside of Tralee, Ireland. And students love this part of the trip because it's kind of slows down. We have a chance to do a lot of reflection, introspection, really, really leaning on our travel writing as we move into this part of the trip. I think we have a couple of other slides. So as we go through, right. So here you can see the itinerary and the map. We start here in Chicago and fly straight over to Dublin, get there good and early in the morning. And then we start in Dublin. We have a couple of days. You can see the 20th, we arrive in Dublin, 21st, 22nd, we're in Dublin. We're doing things like visiting museums. We're going to the Kilmainham Jail, which is a Victorian jail that's preserved. We're going to different sights and sounds and attractions around Dublin. We're teaching students how to navigate Dublin. And we are taking care to closely tie in the course content with what we're seeing in Dublin so that you feel like what you've learned about in the classroom comes to life and is off the page and you're actually immersed in it. Then we take a train and we travel from Dublin down to Cork. And Cork is so lovely. It's just an entirely different region, as you can see, but you can sort of see how attitudes and pace of living and everything change as we go further south. We spend 2 nights now in Cork. We used to do one, but we do have 2 nights there. And we also have a service project that we're involved in Cork so that we can be the good Vincentians that we are, but also connect to Ireland in a deeper way, a way that has more meaning. From Cork, I like how Scott's drawing it along as we go. We actually go up to Tralee, and this is where we stay in the castle. And in Tralee, it's just again, we're in Kerry, County Kerry at that point, and we see another region of Ireland. And this very relaxing night is followed up by a ferry ride across the Shannon River, and we go actually up towards the Cliffs of Moher. And in the Cliffs of Moher, we stay in Doolin, which is just above the Cliffs of Moher, and we take in that extraordinary part of Ireland. It is just a place of matched, natural beauty. It's so, so, so beautiful there. And also we stay in a small village where traditional music and the crack is what they call it, which is just the Irish term, the Gaelic term for just great conversation and great times in pubs and speaking and catching up with one another. So we do that in Doolin, and then from Doolin we bop up to Galway. Along the way, though, we stop at many, many sites that have to do with the Irish literature or literary revival, and talking about how Ireland wanted to reclaim much of what was important about their literary history and how important that is to the culture of Irish people. So we spend time in Galway. We have a few nights there, and we're in a hostel, which is great. And then we go from Galway and we go in a bus across the country back over to Dublin, which seems like going across the country would seem like a lot. It's just a couple hours, 2.5 hours. And then we fly out of Dublin and we get everybody back on their way back to the States. And everyone is changed. You're a changed person after you take an experience like this in and make yourself available to one. So that's a bit about the itinerary, and I'm glad you added the map. That's kind of fun. Or maybe we had it last year. I don't know. I like that. So in this, we are retracing the steps of travel writers. So not only the modern travel writer, but we're talking about travel writers over time. We go to iconic cities. I mean, just to say that you've been in Dublin, Cork, and Galway all on the same trip already makes you so relatable to many who've traveled to Ireland, and also to anyone you meet of Irish descent and people who live in Ireland today. And I love that we have this charming aspect introduced. We do take care to go to the coastal villages and to actually spend time in smaller places, so you get a feel for the countryside and also the city pace in Ireland as we move through. Landmarks. This is a picture. I love this one. This is of Kilmacduagh Abbey. So we go there. This is on the way to Galway from Doolin, and we stop off. This is a very peaceful point in the trip where you can look at some beautiful Celtic crosses and Celtic iconic historical figures here, but we get to learn quite a bit. And it's just usually been really blue skies on this day. And if you can this picture doesn't do it justice because photos never do, but the green that we would experience at that time of year mixed in with the blue of the sky, it's a really, really enchanting place. We learn as we go along from guest lecturers. I mentioned that before, plugging them in at points in the trip that make sense, but also to hear from people who know a lot about the experiences that we're taking in and can make it even that much more deep for us. And then there's a lot of writing. Students on this trip need to keep a travel journal, and I will keep you at a quick and pretty big clip, meaning I believe by the end we have to have over 50 pages, closer to 100 for most students, of actual journaling as we move through, and you capture your in the moment impressions and experiences as we're moving along through Ireland. Aha, so I love this photo. I know exactly where this is. This was taken outside of Kilkenny. This was just a beautiful spot that our coach driver actually recommended we stop, and you can't see it, but off behind us to the right is a beautiful hotel that overlooks this series of lakes and mountains. And the green is starting to come through in this photos, but everyone was just really happy, a little chilly, but really happy at this point in the trip. Here are some students: Eva Goddard, Billy Sherburne, and Umberto Pacentia. These 3 students were on a trip 2 years ago, and they have volunteered themselves to be available to you so you can get the student perspective. They're not on the call now, but Scott can share their email addresses with you, or you can take a quick screenshot. All of them would love to hear from you. I have no trouble getting students from the past to come and speak about and be part of advertising the trip, because they all just they've all stayed really close with one another. I just ran into someone yesterday who told me, they said, "When are we having our reunion? Come on, you promised another reunion." So everybody wants to be in touch, and they also love to sing praises about their experience. So please don't hesitate for a second to reach out to these students. I'm so glad Scott made them available.
And then, yeah, we have a little video here. Let me update the settings so I make sure that it optimizes for sharing the video. So we'll show this short video that one of the students made, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the application process and then take some questions. So here we go.
this. Settle down, don't take a fit. You drank a demon straight from hell. You almost nearly won as well. You wiped the floor with victory. The puked until you fell asleep. Boots will never feel like jam. You crawl into an empty boat. Far to go from Mexico, but Curtis Day was so did you. From the ashes jarring blue, smelling like a salted dog. Back from hell where you belong. Around your neck to watch you dance the jig of death and let you burn a starving crows. Hovering like hungry horse, moving down the bench your eye. The young lady and I need such a snarl it's a leap. I need the bugger so I can see.
All right.
If
So
that doesn't make you want to hit the pub, I don't know what does it after that one. I know. I forgot
All
about
right.
it.
So I'll talk a little bit about the application process. I know some of you have already started your applications, and I think some of you have actually even submitted them. But for those who have not, November 1st is the deadline. So if you have not started or submitted your application yet, please do that. You've got a couple of weeks still, but don't wait until November 1st at 11:30 at night to do this. Just get it in now, the sooner the better. You just go to the First Year Abroad Ireland webpage, and there is a big blue button that says apply now. Click on it, and it's just a few questions that basically ask you why you want to do the program, what you want to get from it. Fill out those questions and hit the submit button, and you're good to go. And then there will be a brief group interview info session after you've done that around November 1st. Victoria and Jordan will be getting in touch with everybody who applied and doing small group little sessions where they'll ask you a handful of questions just to get to know you a little bit better. We can accept 20 students into this program. Sometimes we do have more than 20 students who apply. So it's important that you actually take your time on your application. Let us really know why you want to do it. You have to show up for that little brief group interview. And then we will let students know in about mid-November if they have gotten a spot or not. In the case that you had not gotten a spot and are potentially on a wait list, there are always typically spots that open up from people on the wait list. So don't despair. But we also at that time will tell you as well, it may be a situation where you are on the wait list for this program, but we may have a spot in one of our other first year programs to say, hey, would you like to move your application to this other program where we do have some space available? So we'll work with you to try to make sure to find the best fit for you to have you an experience. In terms of scholarships as well, there is scholarship funding available, and I'm going to talk about the costs on the next page. But there is no special application for this. As long as you apply for this program by November 1st, you'll automatically be considered for our scholarship funding. And those scholarships range from $1,000 up to almost the entire cost of the program. And so we do our best to try to give out as much funding as we can to particularly students with high financial need, to make sure to help enable as many people as possible to do the program. So I always make sure students know if money is a concern for you, please apply. Apply to the program. You'll see if you get accepted. And once you get accepted, we will let you know within a day or so if you got a scholarship, and if so, how much that scholarship is for. And at that point, you then have like a week and a half or 2 weeks to make your decision of what you'd like to do. So if you didn't get enough funding, or if you've just decided you want to do something else instead, or don't want to do it, at that point, you just say, no, thank you. I'm going to decline my spot. You're not out anything. There's no application fee or anything like that. You just say, no, thank you. And we will give your spot to the next person on the list. But every year we have students who say, gosh, I almost didn't apply because I was worried about the funding. But I'm so glad I did, because then I got some scholarship funding and it totally made it possible for me to do. So apply, see what happens, see what kind of scholarship funding you get, and then you can decide what you'd like to do. The cost of the program. So this year's program for going to Ireland, it's $4,225 for the program, but it includes almost everything. It's your airfare, it's all your accommodations, it is about half of your meals, it is all your activities and excursions, your transportation, international travel, health insurance. So really the things that you need to pay for on your own are a handful of meals and personal spending money. Everything else is covered. Also, you do pay tuition for this. But as I mentioned before, as long as you don't go over 18 credit hours for your winter quarter, your tuition is the same as normal. This is just, it acts like a regular old class. Just like any quarter, if you go over 18 credit hours, you have to pay extra tuition for those extra courses over 18 hours. So if you don't want to pay extra tuition, just make sure you stay at 18 or less credits in the winter quarter. And then the only thing you will have to worry about is the program fee. All right. So questions, any questions from anyone? And you can just put them in the chat or unmute yourself, whatever you'd like to do, about the application process, about the program, about the class. Yeah, what are people still wondering? And I can't believe that there are no questions. There's gotta be a question from somebody out there.
Besides the notebook journaling that we will be doing on the trip, what other classwork would be involved?
Sure. In the class leading up to the trip, we do have several writing assignments. The writing assignments are designed to get us ready. They're of different lengths. Some of them are more research-based or evaluative in nature. Some of them are more personal, sort of narrative type assignments where you're writing about your own travel experiences or what you hope to gain from a travel perspective. We also do a bit of group work where we split everybody off. One of my favorite kind of assignments for the class is actually we split everybody into small groups, and you're in charge of actually researching and planning for a certain part of the trip. So when we get over there, it's you and 2 to 3 other people who are responsible for getting us through some aspect of the trip, whether it's, taking us by train from Dublin down to Cork and then having it all ready and including some sort of lesson as we go along. I'm thinking of the group last year, they were sort of teaching us within the train what we were looking at outside the windows just to make it more meaningful and give us that additional context about where we were and what was cool about that part of the country. So we do a variety of assignments on purpose to keep it interesting, but then to also give you writing opportunities where you're writing more in depth and then sometimes a little bit lighter. Some is more academic or research based and other is more personal or narrative like. I hope that answers the question.
And I'll add a little bit more. In Jordan, the staff professional will have a handful of assignments as well that are about like creating a travel budget and some cultural things to kind of get you prepared. You can kind of think of this in two parts. Before you ever step on a plane, you've got a regular class that you're going to take where it's going to have regular assignments that will go throughout the quarter. And that would be the same whatever focal point seminar you take, whether it has a study abroad component or not. The point of the focal point seminar is to examine a topic from different perspectives, to work on your writing skills. So everybody, your friends who aren't doing a study abroad as well, are all going to be taking focal point seminars with that same kind of thing. And then when you're abroad, you have there's an extra 2 credits that's for your time abroad. And that's where you'll be graded on your participation of just being actively engaged in all the things you do. And that's where you'll have your writing journals. Do you have any kind of a final paper or final project when they come back, Victoria? Or is it just the journals?
No, we do because they need to do their final travel writing piece post experience. So that's actually the last stamp that you put on it is actually creating some a pretty brief but still pretty important polished written piece really about your experience and what you take away. So
great. Couple things in the chat that I see. One is the program open to students outside the college or sophomores or juniors. This is a first year program, so it is intended for first year students. It is not related to a college. It's your focal point seminar, which is a general liberal studies course that most students have to take. There are some majors that don't have to take this. If you are a theater major, a music major, or if you are in a BFA program within like College of Computing and Digital Media, then the LSP 112 focal point seminar is typically not a course you need to graduate. If you are one of those people, you can still take this course. It will just give you credit towards your open electives or towards your experiential learning credit, which you might need. Also, honors students do not need this focal point seminar, but we have a specific articulation with the Honors College where any honors student will get specific honors credit for doing this, as well as your experiential learning requirement. So it's very attractive for honors students. So honors students, please, very encouraged to do it. But you are supposed to be a first year student to do this. If you are a sophomore, then there is a chance that we could allow you, but it would depend on space. We always give preference to first year students because that's who this is meant for. But if you are a sophomore, you could apply and we will see what happens space-wise. If you're a junior or a senior, unless you're a transfer student, if you are a transfer student in your first year at DePaul, you still can technically apply. So if you are a transfer student who's a junior, but are a first year student at DePaul, you could apply. And the other exception is if, say, you're like a junior or a senior, but you never took your focal point seminar, and that's a class you still need to take before you graduate, then you are eligible to apply for this. But it is meant for students who need that focal point seminar or who are first year students at DePaul.
I also
And then
saw
another
something
question.
here
Oh, yeah.
about the trip's beginning time. So yes, we do plan to leave that Thursday of finals week from winter quarter. We found that at that point in time, students are done with their final exams and they're out of the way. If for some reason there is some kind of a conflict, we will work on that with the college. Because by leaving that Thursday versus, I'm sorry, is it Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, I think it's
Thursday. Yeah, that allows us to have the extra day in Cork, which is pretty important to the trip. And we've been able to work that out really nicely with different departments around the university, if there's like even the remote conflict. But
yeah. Usually most students are done with their exams by that point. So there was a question from Tom. Are international students eligible for the scholarship without FAFSA? Technically, no, but I'm going to tell you something to know. You do need to have a FAFSA on file with the Financial Aid Office to be eligible for our scholarships because we do award them with a significant part of the reason we award them for students who do have high financial need. But if you do not have a FAFSA on file with the Financial Aid Office, we don't know about your financial need. If you are an international student, there is a scholarship appeal process. So if you go to our scholarship website, you will see a link to an appeal process, and you can fill out a little form where you kind of tell us more about your situation, and we have a committee that reviews those. So we do have some scholarship funding reserved for students who do these scholarship appeals. So that's the way as an international student that you might be able to get some scholarship funding. The difference there is you have to take the active step of filling out the scholarship appeal and submit that to us with your information, and then our committee will look at it. Whereas everyone else, it's automatically going to be something that's considered as part of your application. What else? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. So you mentioned the focal point seminar. This class counts as the focal point seminar?
Yes, this is it. So
Okay.
yep, LSP 112 focal point seminar. Like I said, there will be like 100 or so of those to choose from in winter and spring quarter. This looks just like the rest of them. You just get an extra 2 credits and go abroad at the end of it. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Any other questions?
Scott,
Alright.
if I might, I'm just going to
Yeah.
paint one more picture.
Please.
Just because it's one of my favorite. So there's this really unique moment in the trip where we have to leave from the Tralee area and we're going to work our way up towards the cliffs of Moore. And we do on our little coach, we then get onto a ferry. So the bus drives onto the ferry, and then the ferry goes across the estuaries or the opening of the Shannon River, which goes out to sea. And so that's always early morning. It's pretty magical. We've just had a relaxing night at the castle. And then the last 2 years, we had some unique experiences where the first time we were going across, we had dolphins accompany us along the water. And I think it was just like this moment where you're just like, what is happening, that this is even possible, that it could be timed so beautifully. And then the next year we looked for dolphins on the trip, but instead on our ferry, we had a lot of cows that were in trucks that were moving across the Shannon River with us. And it just didn't feel like we could get any more Irish than that, than a bunch of dairy cows making the trip with us across the Shannon on a ferry. As all the students took photos and laughed and just had a really great experience. So that's just a little something to sort of wet wet everyone's whistle here, or at least get you a little more interested or intrigued. But we have many experiences like that where you just almost need to pinch yourself because you're like, is this really happening? Could it be any better? So I really look forward to seeing your applications come through. Scott did a great job of outlining everything, and we look forward to seeing who's in the mix this year and to interviewing people further. And yeah, if you have any other questions, you have all kinds of contact information that he shared, and please don't hesitate for a second. We have a lot of people willing to speak with you, whether it's the students, myself, or Scott, and even Jordan, who's leading the trip coming this year with me. Thank you.